Jarvan Support. On the first moment it sounds like a great engage support with his E into Q combo that provides him and his laner with a strong early game. But what if I tell you that there is a better way to play Jarvan Support and he is equipped with the rune summon aery and rushes Zhonyas as his first item? But why should that be stronger? Well, because of one specific spell that can proc the rune all the time and is thus able to shield his AD carry throughout the whole laning phase. And it can also be used to poke the enemy thanks to its 80% AP ratio. Additionally to that, he also survive every engage even when he trap himself with 2 enemies using the ultimate. Thanks to this item, he just waits until his EQ combo is up again and go out of this dangerous situation without any problems, while the enemy is trapped inside the cage and has to take every single ability from your whole team. So you can just trap enemies and let your teammates finish them off, while providing them with shields and 30% attack speed. But without further ado, let's start with the laning phase. As soon as Jarvan leaves the spawn, you are going to put the first skill point into the E spell since this is the only useful ability you can have at level 1 on this Demacian. It has several tools that support your team at this early stage of the game. First of all, this pole can provide vision inside bushes so you are not forced to face check them or waste a ward. So when your AD carry didn't cover properly, just throw an E spell into the bush to check if someone is trying to invade. The other great supporting mechanic with this spell can be seen during the leash. Not only does this E spell deal some damage towards the buff when you throw the metal pipe on it, it also grants your teammates with 20% more attack speed over the next 8 seconds, and it gives your jungler some defensive stats at the same time. But why? Well, luckily the E-spell is capable to activate summon aery, so it can provide the jungler with a small shield for about 2 seconds. But not only once. As long as the E-spell passive is activated, which is about 8 seconds, summon aery can be procced the whole time and provide the jungler with several shields during the leash. So he barely loses any HP and also increases his clear speed thanks to the attack speed bonus. And all these things can also be used on the lane. As soon as Jarvan places a flag near his AD carry, the E-spell grants him with a shield that protects him from some annoying poke damage. At the same time, it gives both of you some attack speed. But the main function of the E-spell at the level 1 stare down is a different one. It's called poking. Due to the fact that this flag has an AP ratio of 80%, it deals a solid amount of damage, which can be quite annoying combined with the summon aery proc. That's why Jarvan Support item has to be Spell Thief's Edge, so you can earn some money while throwing some flags onto the enemy. By reaching level 2, this guy becomes one of the strongest champions in game due to the famous throw and stab combo. Jarvan places his flag on the location he wants to dash to and cast the Q spell on it in order to travel towards that destiny. Meanwhile, he knocks everything up on his journey that stands between him and the pole, and thanks to his high base stats it kinda hurts to get slapped by his auto attacks, due to his passive that makes your autos deal some solid 8% of the target current health damage. Additionally to that, it gives your AD carry some time to catch up and shoot some bullets into their head, which most of the time results into a first blood for your team or an enemy hyper carry with no summoners in his pocket. But that's not the only benefit you have by unlocking this combo. When a situation gets a little bit too sticky, just use your spells in a defensive way to get some space between you and the enemy, since it can also be used over terrain. When Jarvan reaches level 3, he is going to put the third skill point into his W spell, which is a shield that does shield things like protecting him from incoming damage. But it also has the mechanic to slow all the enemies nearby, which gives you and your carry a great tool to run down the laning opponents. In combination with the E-Q combo, this shield allows you to slow enemies which are quite far away and open up a great way to set up ganks, even without hitting the famous Demacia combo. And when you manage to hit the enemy with it, there is no way these guys could escape this situation. Until now, the playstyle of Jarvan Support doesn't differ that much from his ordinary one. We are just playing him as an engaged champion. Well, that will change right at the moment when the Demacian reaches level 4 and puts his skill point into the E-spell. From now on, Jarvan goes through the transformation from an engaged support into a poking support that will continue spamming the flag on top of his enemies. This has several advantages. By doing so, Jarvan can make use of the E-spell damage, which has an 80% AP ratio, and perma-shield his carry from the incoming damage. And by placing the flag during the whole laning phase, it forces the enemy to avoid the area where Jarvan can dash into, since you never know when he decides to go in. But you should not be focused too much on looking for engages throughout the whole game, but rather poke the enemy down and engage when they are low on health. And this is how we are going to spend the next minutes on the lane. Poke, engage, kill, and repeat, until Jarvan reaches his next power spike when he unlocks his ultimate. It's a point-and-click spell that creates a cage around the enemy. You decided to make it your next victim and force them to stay inside your arena for the next 3.5 seconds. Normally this would be a great place for him to beat the shit out of the opponent with some auto attacks, but Jarvan Support with this build and runes is not made for this. Instead, he tries to trap both laning opponent at once and force them to stay inside this cage with him. Well, now you might think Jarvan is in big trouble since he is not going to win a 2v1 fight. Joke's on you. We just trapped them to allow our AD carry to unleash their full damage into the cage, and 3.5 seconds should be more than enough time to make the enemy health bar disappear. Even more when your jungler is there to help you. But how is Jarvan going to survive the time inside the cage? Well, he can easily dash out of it with the E into Q combo, but sometimes you use it as an engage tool to catch the enemy with the ultimate when they are standing far away. There is a solution for that. Jarvan takes a specific rune that allows him to unlock a stopwatch after a while, and when he traps himself with 2 enemies inside the cage, he just uses it and the enemy is now standing there with no option to escape, no target to attack, and a ton of damage flying towards him. This stopwatch tactic is especially useful. First of all, it can buy you some time to wait for the E, Q combo to be up again in order to get out of this mosh pit. And secondly, no one expects that this Damasian is equipped with a stopwatch, which creates a surprise effect for sure. That's also the main reason why Jarvan should rush Zhonyas as his first item to do this tactic over and over again. Jarvan Support isn't useless without his ultimate, thanks to his E poke and its shielding power, but it remains his main tool to be a decent champion. Thanks to the item Radiant Virtue, the ultimate can be far more than just an ability to trap some opponents. It gives Jarvan 12.5% more HP after casting it and also heal all his allies nearby by a decent amount, so it can also be useful in that way. That's why the late game task of Jarvan Support can be quite simple. When his ultimate is up, you look for the enemy hyper carry to trap, giving your team some time to destroy them while Jarvan isn't targetable. At the same time, he heals his team with Radiant Virtue. Here are the build and runes for Jarvan Support. And if you are wondering why an Anivia top is unkillable and is building Heartstealer while taking the Grasp rune with her, click on this video right here.